Hey everyone, we're going to jump into the video real quick. I did just want to say that I'm a returning user of Minecraft. Last time I played was probably 2011, but when I heard about this Terra 1-to-1 mod, I had to make a video because I love exploring stuff on Google Maps and exploring in Minecraft, and this is like the perfect combination of both to really go around the world and see what works and doesn't work in Minecraft. I don't have all the tools that people probably have these days to make Minecraft screen recordings. I have an okay machine that loaded the stuff, but as you might see, it might be a little stuttery. But here's just kind of some of the places I found that really worked, and we'll kind of go over at the end of the video about the process of that and how it works. So enjoy. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll try to be brief on this part and not go for too long. It was very interesting seeing what places loaded and didn't load or didn't really make sense or blew me away and I was not expecting. Some of the footage you might see here, I basically had to fly around, since I'm such a noob, and just load everything by visually flying around and looking at things to build the scene, since it just loads really slow because there's so much stuff, there's so many chunks that this thing is trying to load. I had to really up my render distance and vertical block distance. It was kind of crazy, and that's why sometimes on screen it was just like stuttering like crazy, and sometimes it wasn't because I loaded enough of it. I'd have to say Niagara Falls was like the hardest one to load, because even though it seems like a smallish contained waterfall area, it's not. It's huge, and I was really blown away that the game actually kind of respected the water over the cliffside to make it so huge, so that was pretty cool. There were other places that just didn't work. There's a weird line with this Terra 1-to-1, and I don't know if it's pulling directly from Google Maps or from some other sort of map data, but paths show up quite a bit, parking lots show up a bit as outlines, roads kind of help you really understand where you are because roads are pretty wide. Unfortunately, it doesn't exactly look at color data of satellites to get clues as to what kind of biome or environment you are around the world. I found even in Utah that sometimes it would just split chunks into green hills, when in reality they were really red rock dusty plateaus, but sometimes it did load that, much like how it loaded the Grand Canyon in the original Terra 1-to-1 video release. But there does seem to be some tweaking that still needs to happen. Example, I visited a lot of places in the Rockies that I've been to, and quite a few places in Colorado are just really tall green hills. The mod only seems to generate rocks for mountains if there's a very, very, very steep fall off, almost like a cliff face. Then it'll do exposed earth. But if it's kind of even if it's a really steep going up, it just kind of seems to generate grass, which might look weird. The Grand Tetons were just grass, and that's kind of disappointing because they're really tall spires out there. I didn't really have a whole lot of places to look for jungles, and I also seem to just kind of have more success with looking at stuff in the United States, because if you look at Google Maps, you'll often see that I, in the video, would rotate the camera around to see if there was any dimension, like the 3D dimension on Google Maps, and if it had that, it seemed to have a much higher chance of actually generating really realistic geometry in Minecraft versus some places were just flat and the game just loaded it flat, even though it's a very steep pit or a tall mountain. And maybe you could solve that with a VPN. It might load it in different countries probably. I just didn't have enough time to do that. Plus, I just know a lot more places in the United States that I wanted to check out. In Canada, for example, British Columbia was all over the place on this. There are so many great British Columbia mountain things you could pick to load that are just beautiful. Plus, those actually generate snow because the game is looking more north, I guess, versus like the middle of North America where the Rockies are. I guess it doesn't count it as snow. But maybe these are things that, will be improved in further updates of the mod, which is always something to look forward to. One other massive problem that I kind of ran into in terms of just scale, since it is really 1-to-1, is most of the coolest places on Earth are actually huge. So for example, like volcanoes, Mount St. Helens, you can't even see the crater because it's just so big. Mount Fiji, Denali, even in the release video they showed Mount Everest. I don't know how they managed to capture that. I'm a little unexperienced at just loading stuff for Minecraft videos, I'm pretty new to this. But in general, it was kind of hard to view and not really worth it to go to peaks that were just so big you couldn't see anything. It was almost cooler to load something that was really narrow and very steep, like a cliff face, or something else that's kind of contained and small in an area. Bryce Canyon was one, if you look it up in real life, has a lot of little spires that are very steep all over the place. It's crazy. But it's funny in that the mod seems to not exactly recognize things that are too small. Even if Google Map data shows them as being everywhere, it just kind of lumps them all together. As you can see, man-made structures don't really show up at all, I guess, unless they're parking lots, or really streets, like if you're going into a city like Chicago or New York. Those streets actually do load everywhere, little crisscross paths, which is kind of interesting. You can pretty easily find your house. I did. Obviously, as you saw in the video, one of the funniest ones was the Hoover Dam. It just instantly started breaking and water cascading over the edge of it. Was not expecting that. That was really fun to see that. It makes me wonder why the water would be loaded higher. I guess maybe it was just barely, but that was a lot of fun. As you saw, the craziest capture I did was pretty much the painted wall, which not a whole lot of people know about. You might just go to the Grand Canyon and load up any part of it, equally as deep and impressive and crazy. But the painted wall, the Gunnison, or the Black Canyon of the Gunnison Canyon, is impressive because it's such a deep gouge in the earth in such a confined area out there in western Colorado. Luckily, I was able to load most of the wall, which is absolutely crazy how tall it is. The sheer face of it is amazing in real life, so that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one. Further proving the point about Google Map data kind of being incomplete or not really there. For example, when I tried to visit Ball's Pyramid, which is a random island, volcanic island, scattered out in near Australia in the Pacific, even the map data on that wasn't quite right. It was almost like the game was inverting the map data. I don't know why there's such huge, massive pits in the ground. It makes me wonder, again, are we actually pulling off Google Maps, or is it some other kind of weird variant that is more compatible with how the mod works? I don't know. Maybe I'll make more stuff in the future, because of course my curiosity is definitely not satisfied yet. But I'm looking forward to seeing what other people make. Everyone has places that they know that are unique to them, and I'm sure I'll be blown away by something that I see. And then I gotta go out there, switch on survival mode, and then just, survive and live out there in Minecraft like the good old days, except I'm doing it in like the real world, which is so crazy. So there's also a link in the comments to watch the tutorial video, because I'm such a noob, I had no idea how to do any of this mod stuff. There's a great tutorial that goes over it, which you can click on and watch that. Very simple. And then I also have the coordinates for each of the places you saw in the video that you can just type in, includes the command, and go teleport yourself there. If you do type in your own coordinates, just be sure when you type it in and copy it off Google Maps to delete the comma. So thanks again for watching, and have fun.